Hello, I'm Nathan.
And I'm Jody, and this is Word on the Web.
Here we are. We have a guest today.
We do.
And the exciting thing about this is that what started with a question for us has become a friendship. And we love that. We've invited our audience to send in questions, and this has developed into a relationship, and we would love to talk about that today, right?
Yeah.
The things that we've learned and the things that you've learned.
Well, and you can definitely vouch for us that when you send in a question, we answer.
Things happen.
Yeah, and the question was, Interfaith Sanctuary is in your neighborhood. Mm-hmm. The new building is going to open up. You're going to be our neighborhood, and you weren't so sure about how you felt about that.
That's correct, yes.
And so you asked the question of, can I learn more? And we had a cup of coffee. Mm-hmm. And now, talk to us about, I guess, the first thing, why did you lean in?
So my wife and I have lived in the Collister neighborhood for about 20 years. And they found out that Interfaith was applying to put the new shelter in this space. And so immediately neighbors got together and chit-chatted about those people are coming to our neighborhood, our perfect little kingdom. So in the course of at least 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Since you had the idea to move there
Yep.
to today, it's been quite a while.
Yep.
And followed all the hearings and all the legal stuff and the good stuff, the bad stuff on either side. And then just this last spring, it all came to basically ended to, you folks are moving in.
That was your reality. Like, you realized they're
This
coming.
thing is
It's
happening.
done.
This thing's
yeah,
happening.
the whole lawsuit thing with the
Love to hear that.
Supreme
Right.
Court. all
Yeah,
that stuff.
cheers.
Appreciate the energy.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's a matter of, so I met with a friend of mine, Joe Bankard. This is a friend of the Interfaith Sanctuary
good man.
Ministry. And so we walk around the neighborhood. He's a neighbor as well. And we talk about all kinds of things. And we ended up down on State Street walking by the partially constructed, under construction, stopped construction, and realized that these folks are coming. Joe, what can we do?
How do we respond?
Yeah,
right? How
what
do
are we going to do?
react?
They're coming to our neighborhood. There's lots of things that we could do. We could move out. We could, join the legal battle. We could pretend they don't exist here, or we could find out if we can be servants.
Right.
And
So Joe called Jody.
yeah. And I guess my question at that point, when you say we could move or we could see how we could serve, without you actually knowing us or what we did, that's a big jump for you. So I'm guessing that's where our process started, because when I met with you, you're like, look, I want to learn more. Mm-hmm. And then I want to figure out how this fits in for me, like what I'm going to be to Interfaith. And that's really what launched you into becoming the commander-in-chief of all neighborhood tours.
A little overstated. I've been called the mayor of Collister, which is not true.
I feel
I know
it,
a
though.
lot of people there, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm friends with most of them. And when Jody said, I'll set up some tours, I said, Joe and I were going to fill them up.
Yep.
And some of them with people that would be opposed or still opposed and maybe always will be. And other people, they just don't know enough to decide what to do. So we thought this is a perfect opportunity to learn.
Yeah, and so I'm curious, before we gave you the tour, when you walked into it, what were you thinking? What was when I go to learn, what were you thinking about that moment and that shelter before we did the tour?
Yeah, I had never been to the downtown existing shelter. Joe had. There's been other people I know that do work down there. They help in lots of different ways. I've never been down there. I drive by it frequently. So I really didn't know what to expect. And I'm old enough to start realizing I don't have to know everything, but I'd like to ask questions.
Yeah.
And if I don't ask questions, then I'm allowing someone else to kind of guide, the decisions I make. And I've made a lot of mistakes in my life.
Yeah, haven't we all?
I met Jody, several years ago. You came to our church.
Yeah.
And I was fascinated by Jody, just her passion She's an amazing person. And the second time I met her, several years later, I'm going, same person. Now I'm going to
Same
see
passion.
face to face what she's doing or has been doing. The torture tests that you've gone through the last several years. I'm thinking, I'm going to show up for this meeting for sure. Joe arranged it. We sat down and ended up saying, what can we do? Jody said, let's get folks in here so they can see it for themselves without you guys,
Right.
you know, all the information that's out there.
Because there's a lot of information out
Yeah.
there.
No, for sure.
Coming at us from every
a
no
lot
matter
of-
what topic,
yeah,
right?
a lot of
and
good stuff.
interfaith, yeah,
Sure.
and interfaith is no different. So I love the way you took action to gather information for yourself, to
Mm-hmm.
form your own opinions, and to before you decided how to move forward. It's very proactive.
Yeah, and I had a mentor of mine that I've known. I knew him. He's passed away, but he said, "Chris, here's how you know something. You show up."
Yeah.
He said, "Just show up."
Yeah. And I think like that was the profound moment that happened in each tour is that the groups that you gathered, we did 3 total tours so far. The groups that you gathered, they came in asking questions. And they had been bombarded by a lot of information that didn't come from interfaith, that came from other ways. And the relief as they walked through this building and learned who we were, like I could feel that. What was your experience?
I've talked to everyone I invited. I followed up because I knew I was going to speak with you folks about this. I wanted to know their thoughts and their impressions. I think probably around 30 people I directly invited that showed up, and they were absolutely overwhelmed with so many things. Just the planning, the size of the building is insane. It's like,
Right.
this is like, where does it stop?
I know,
It's
I
so
know.
fun. The passion that you folks demonstrate, the love you have for the folks that you care for,
Yeah.
was so obvious. And Alex, the chef, is an amazing person. Everyone that we met there, the construction folks, man, they get it, and they want to be servants as well. So
Yeah.
everyone I talked to was overwhelmed.
Nice.
I can't even, it's like, impressed is not the right word. They couldn't believe it
Yeah.
yeah.
in so many aspects, and several of them said they're going to replicate this all over the country. There's nothing like
Yeah.
this, and some of them know communities and ministries like this, and they say there's nothing like this. It's going to be incredible
And it's in Boise.
with the professional
Yeah.
contacts you
Yeah.
have enlisted to
Yeah.
facilitate this thing.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and I think what's been interesting is when you hear about the new shelter on State Street, you don't hear about the new shelter on State Street. You hear about what is going to happen when this group of people come to this neighborhood. Never ever looking behind the door and seeing everything that was developed so thoughtfully, not just for our guests, but for our staff. When you say that, the staff that we have that works at our current shelter, they work in a 10,000 square foot building that is so unforgiving. It makes the work so hard. There's no privacy. We serve as many people as we possibly can because this is an emergency shelter right now. And those staff members, they show up and they figure out how to deliver care in a way that it actually
It's impressive
It's so
every day.
impressive.
Yeah.
And so like when designing this new shelter, they were a huge part of the design as well. We designed a new shelter to make it easier for them to do that amazing work. And I think that it's not just exciting to bring this unhoused community into a place that's so dignified and thoughtful, but oh my gosh, they're going to be so grateful in that space. The staff is going to be so grateful to serve in that space that they're all going to take care of each other better. And that's
Yeah.
going to have extraordinary outcomes.
Speaking of outcomes, I feel like as we're doing a tour, there's this moment where the individuals on the tour begin to say, so I could do mailroom? Like this is a place
Yeah.
where I could volunteer. And in that moment that hearts have changed or perspectives have shifted, right? And they see themselves being part of the service.
Yeah.
Not just there to gather information. It's like, okay, so you take books. How can we,
Yeah.
engage? And that kind of energy lights us up.
Yeah, and it happened in every single
Yes.
tour. Every single tour where they came to just like answer their questions and identify their fears.
Satisfy their
Yeah,
curiosities.
totally. It was more like, oh my gosh, can we do something in the kitchen? You're going to
Yeah.
have a community garden. Can everyone, Karen Etter Smith, she had this great idea about like everyone has these amazing gardens in the neighborhood, bringing starters from their yards to help us
Yeah.
create our yard. And suddenly it's like, this is our
Yeah,
shelter home.
this is a
This is
community.
our neighborhood
Yeah.
shelter home.
Yeah, one of the tours I was on, they're musicians. You could just see the light was like, they're retired. One a teacher at Boise High, the other one was a music leader, and they go like, could we come down and do
Yeah.
singing?
Music, right?
Yeah.
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 Contribute
Yeah.
in whatever way, whether that's gardening, music, cooking, whatever.
Yeah, I've told people
so
there's
many
going to be
ways.
1,000 opportunities down
Yeah.
there at least. And I said, the other neighborhoods in Boise are going to be pissed off they didn't get a place in their neighborhood.
I love that so much.
It's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, the tours opened up the conversation around who we really are. Like so many of them had no idea about Project Wellbeing, Project
Yeah.
Recovery, Word on the Street. Project Sing and the Homeless Art Collective really connected people to the work. Like they,
I feel like that's a really
Yeah.
pivotal moment at the early on in the tour where you talk about how art and connecting to things that they've had to leave behind.
yes,
Music and or performance and art,
Yeah.
channeling. I feel like that's a moment where people begin to see that there's so much depth to what Interfaith Sanctuary is providing.
well, and so much
and
depth to the guests.
to the
like
guest,
they're not
yeah.
just an
And they're-
unhoused
and-
person.
that they're all of a sudden they begin to believe in themselves again too.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
a beautiful part of the tour.
Yeah, so now we've got what we hope is the final hearing,
Final hearing,
in front
yep.
of City Council on Tuesday, September 30th. And we are doing some emails out right now. And many of the people who took the tour with Chris, we sent them out information about like, now that you've seen the shelter, would you mind sending a
We'd love
comment?
to hear
Is it-
from
yeah.
you. Yeah.
And Chris, of course, wrote this incredible letter, which is how he got invited onto the Word on the Web. And I'm wondering, because you said something that really affected Nathan and I. You said you reached out because you had fear. And I think we both want to understand, like, how did walking into that shelter and seeing it, how did that help you to overcome fear and want to connect more?
Well, the whole matter, the culmination of it, like here you are, and it's a matter of showing up and finding out what's this about? Who are these people? Who's coming here? Because the neighborhood, not necessarily me, is going to devalue our property, right? Which is a total BS now. There's been a lot of homes built there. No one said a word about not building a $1 million house, a quarter mile away.
Yeah.
Not a word about it. They're still tearing stuff down and building stuff up in this neighborhood. So that's a falsehood, 100%. They're going to take over the library, which the facility addresses that in lots of ways.
It's got 3 libraries.
I'm just saying, there's plenty of.
Yeah.
Why would they want to go to the little tiny college library when there's a beautiful facility you're going to build for them there in their own home? What else? They're going to be on the streets, sleeping in my front porch, and on and on and on. I think the battle with the Veterans Park neighborhood has made you guys way better. I'm not saying
We've
it's
said that.
We've said that
easier.
too.
Said
I'm
that
just
too.
saying,
Yeah.
they've refined things that maybe
Yeah.
you didn't think
Yes.
about.
Absolutely.
And it's been a good process, I think, except for the massive headaches. that
Well,
you
yeah,
deal with.
no, I mean, I always look for the silver lining. The
Yeah.
silver lining is they pushed us to be better, and we are better.
Yeah.
And I know that on the tours where we've had people who do work in fire stations and do work with the police and things, that them understanding that this is a 24/7 shelter, that the guests get to stay there morning, noon, and night. The lights just go on for that. No matter how many times we've
Yeah,
said it,
you can
people
tell.
still imagine
Yeah.
that, like, in the morning, everyone's going to be asked to leave. And
Yeah.
the medical dorm and the medical program and the exam room and the nurses station, and the fact that like community health care will be delivered directly to guests, that's how you reduce impact. You allow people to have a safe place to be morning, noon, and night. And that, I think, that's the game changer for many, is losing that picture of what they imagined, because we have a corridor that is trying as best it can to serve an unhoused population, but it was not developed the way that this new shelter home is.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it fails.
Sure. And there's a lot of people who moved to Boise over the last 20 years from big cities in the West,
Yeah.
or all over the country.
Yeah.
And they've experienced it, whether they've been involved or there's drive-by people that pretend these folks aren't there. So that's their perception.
Yeah.
What's going to be like that. And
Right.
so then,
So we have to
talking you
reframe
folks,
that, right?
It's like, it's not going to be like that.
It's not that way.
And there's nothing like this. I've talked to people in Seattle, Portland. There's nothing like this, not even close. The service, the professional engagement, the community involvement. There's nothing like. They
Yeah.
put Band-Aids on these massive
Right.
problems. I understand that, but that's not going to happen at Interfaith on
Yeah,
State Street.
we're just going to get better.
Yeah.
And everyone who's involved with it will actually be served better too, including our neighbors.
Yeah, I agree.
So thank you so much for coming and sharing your perspective. It's so refreshing to have a neighbor sitting
It's
at.
great.
It's so great. And if anyone wants to go on a tour, we are scheduling them. You can email us at wordontheweb@interfaithsanctuary.org, and we will get you signed up. And if you're interested in learning about how to send a comment or to sign up to testify, you can go right to our website, interfaithsanctuary.org. Click on the boots, because it's time to get your boots back on, and it'll walk you through everything, and there's links to sign up. So, Chris, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being our
That's
neighbor.
great.
You didn't cry. We usually cry 3
He's
or
holding
4
it back.
times.
He's
I
holding it
know.
back.
I know.
I
We have
cried.
this relationship where we each make each other cry a few times.
I
But
cried this weekend several times.
Yeah.
Other things.
it's good to have I'm a crier too.
My
name is
emotions-
Jody, and I'm a crier.
And I'm right there
I'm
with
okay
you.
with that.
Yeah.
No, we do appreciate everything you've done for Interfaith, and thank you for being here today.
All right.
We really appreciate it. So with that, keep your questions coming. We really appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Get your boots on for
Get your boots
September
on September
30th.
30th, yes.
Hope to see you there.